All right, ladies and gentlemen. So a lot of you guys have heard that we have hired Tommy Reese, former Notre Dame offensive coordinator. Not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not mad about this, but I'm not really happy about this. I'm not ecstatic. I'm not jumping for joy about this pick compared to, let's say, if we would have got, let's say, like a Garrett Riley, hell, even a Joe Brady, who's with my Buffalo Bills as a quarterback coach. Just any, like a Brian Johnson for the Philadelphia Eagles, guys that really know how to develop quarterbacks at a high level. And again, prioritizing the quarterback, making sure to surround the quarterback with weapons, offensive line help, understand the parameters, all that sort of thing about the position and surrounding those and really developing, the most important thing, developing the quarterback position. So I am a little worried about it. I'm not going to lie to you about it. It feels like the Bill OBrien hire to me. It does. Now, I think that Bill OBrien and Tommy Reese have two different offensive philosophies. Bill OBrien has always really had this track record, even when he was with the Patriots, as kind of being stubborn, right? Kind of being stubborn. But, when you get the personnel that he wants, when you get the quarterback that he wants, he can do a good job. 2020 with Alabama, as much crap as we gave Bill OBrien in 2021, it was a really good year for the offense. It wasn't Steve Sarkisian. It wasn't, I'll even say Brian Dable for what he had to work with at the quarterback position with Hurts at the time when he was a raw quarterback. What Lane Kiffin had to work with, Bill OBrien, again, he's not on the level, he's not on the caliber of those guys because those are known as being some of the best offensive coordinators, not just at the college level, but literally just in all of football. But he still was good. He was decent in 2021 when he had the personnel that he wanted to get. The following year in 2022, again, that's when you saw the stubbornness. That's when you did not see this guy adapt to the personnel or adapt to the personnel's strength. Again, you saw a lot of stubbornness. You saw, again, the same scheme when it wasn't really continuing to work. He continued to try to pile upon it. Did not adapt to the personnel, whether it was at the receiving position, some of the dumbest receiving concepts that we've seen, receivers running into each other. It was a hot mess. And you didn't really see him change or try to adapt to it at all, which is something that, if you're an offensive coordinator, right, you look at the Steve Sarkisians, you look at the Lane Kiffins of the world, right? These are guys that when they came to the University of Alabama, yes, they implemented their scheme into it, but they also adapted to the personnel to their strength, right? As far as what Devontae Smith could do well, what Henry Ruggs can do well, what Waddle could do well. They adapted to their strengths and they literally utilized off of it. And like you saw how that was able to work at the University of Alabama. So that's one thing that I am hopefully I'm excited for, is that we get a new fresh start, and hopefully we can have a coach in Tommy Reese that can adapt to his personnel, right? With Jalen Miro, right? If Jalen Miro becomes a starting quarterback, is he going to be stubborn and is he going to run his sort of offense, or is he going to implement some wrinkles here and there? Is he going to implement some new formations, some new kinks here and there, in order for Jalen Miro to become a little bit more comfortable? Or is he just going to be like, okay, you know what? This is my scheme. This is what I want to run, and you are going to run it, right? If he wants Jalen Miro under center, can he do it? Right? Can he do under center? Can he use a lot of play action? Can he play under a pro style offense? Or can you actually adapt a scheme around him in order for it to work, right? Remember, Steve Sarkisian had two different packages for Mac Jones, for Tua, and for Mac Jones and for Tua. Even for Bryce Young, when he was implemented in there, he literally had different sets of his own, and that's why, again, Steve Sarkisian is considered to be one of the best OCs in the country. So yeah, I'm a little concerned because, again, when he was at Notre Dame, he did not put up great numbers. He did not put up great numbers. They were one of the worst passing attacks in the nation. They ran the ball very well, right? They ran the ball very, very well. They were known for having really good offensive lines. But again, I don't think that's because of Tommy Reese. Matter of fact, Notre Dame has always been known to putting out great offensive lines for the most part. Hell, even when they were like 7 wins, they were having 7-8 win football seasons before Brian Kelly got there. They were just known for having the physical blue collar offensive lines. And, again, when you take a look at a lot of those guys in the NFL, like perfect example, you look at Zach Martin or Mike McGlinchey. These are guys that Notre Dame can constantly continues to develop these guys at a high level. So Notre Dame has always had great offensive lines. I will say, as a benefit, Tommy Reese, he's playing at Notre Dame. He knows the structure of Notre Dame. He understands what it takes to build physical offense, to build a physical offense, right? To run the football, right? To have a quarterback that's not maybe more of a guy that can play at a high level, but kind of more of a game manager, right? You look at the Ian Books. You look at the Ian Books of the world, perfect example of that. Of course, they had a quarterback in Drew Pine, but they've always really had those guys, right? The Everetts. Again, a lot of Bama fans remember Garrett Everett. Guys that are game managing quarterbacks, not going to put their team in bad positions, but they're going to predicate their offense off of running the football and playing physical defense. So I feel like for this pick, for what Nick Saban's trying to do, he's trying to go back to I think he's trying to go back to old school, right? He's trying to go back to the ways of, we got to play great defense. We got to play physical up front, offensive line, defensive line. We gotta establish having an elite defense, having a great running a game. Because this year, let's be honest here, whether if it's Ty Simpson or Jalen Miro, we might not have an elite quarterback this year. We might not have it. And I think we continue to forget how hard it is to develop quarterbacks at an elite level at the college game. Again, we were fortunate to have Hurts. We were fortunate enough to have Tua. We were fortunate enough to have Mac Jones and Bryce Young. We had, that's a dreamland. That's incredible. But it doesn't always work like that, right? I mean, like I said, unless you're Lincoln Riley, a quarterback whisperer, it's hard to develop quarterbacks at an elite level every single year. And even Lincoln Riley, he missed on Spencer Rattler. Even though I think Spencer Rattler is a decent college quarterback, he missed on Spencer Rattler. So not only, he doesn't get it right, but I don't know, man. It's like there's pros to it, and then there's definitely cons to it, right? It is, will we ever, will Tommy Reese get back to having an elite offense, right? Spreading the football out, running the football, right? Having that balanced attack, but having an offense that can score 40 or 50 points a game easily. Do we go back to having that offense? I'm not too sure with Tommy Reese, because he never done it with Notre Dame. And again, people will bring up the personnel. I understand it. The personnel was not, is not Alabama's level. But it's not like they weren't getting top 10 recruiting classes every single year. I mean, Notre Dame is getting top 10, top 15 recruiting classes, and they're competing against the ACC conference mainly, right? And other independent schools or some Pac-12 schools here and there that's throwing their schedule. So they're not getting the SEC schedule, they're not getting some of the toughest schedules. So when we take a look at the level of comp, Notre Dame still, through at least 95% of their schedule, they're more talented than a lot of the teams on their schedule, and they're not producing a lot of the elite numbers that we're seeing. Now, again, that could be due to Notre Dame's philosophy, because they've never been a team that has an elite offense. They're more so play great defense, play physical offense on the offensive line and the defensive line, run the football, and then again, play off of the tight end. Like, the tight end has been the number one target for I don't know how many years now that we've been watching Notre Dame football. Like, you look at guys like, Tyler Eifert, Michael Mayer, like, they've always played well off of a tight end, man. So I don't know. It is what it is, man. But, Tommy Reese, he's coming off of that Jimmy Clausen, Garrett Everett. I mean, like I said, he knows the personnel that he wants to run. He's coming off of a philosophy that is predicated off of physicality. We're just going to have to see what happens. We're going to have to see what happens, man. But I think one thing that Nick Saban's trying to do, he's trying to go back to the old school 2009 through 2013 football, physical style. Because Georgia, they've won a couple national titles, and one of those national titles, they went off of that style. Now, they've upgraded with Todd Monken as far as a play caller goes. So for Tommy Reese as a play caller, we're going to have to see how good he is at that level, because even if he brings a solid scheme, you got to call plays. You got to make the right plays, especially in situational moments. You got to make the right plays. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm not going to judge him on this. Again, he would not be my first option. He wouldn't even be my top 3 or 4th option, but I'll give him a chance. We'll give him a chance, and we'll see what happens, man. But anyway, guys, Jan Sports, we'll see what happens, man. Roll Tide.